On Montserrat, the small British island in the Antilles, the terrible eruption which began in 1995 directly hit the island's capital. Since then, Plymouth has been a ghost town.
If this were to happen again, it would get here in about 90 seconds.
So we won't stay here too long then. The former inhabitants are haunted by painful memories of the catastrophe and nostalgia for their past lives.
These are the streets you walk on. These are the streets you play on. Memories, plenty memories.
More than 20 years after this huge trauma, the island is being rebuilt and gradually reconciling itself with its volcano. Do you know what the volcano is capable of?
Yes, I chose to stay here and help rebuild the island.
Gently, Montserrat is rising from its ashes. For more than 15 years, I've been traveling to active volcanoes around the globe to meet the people who live closest to them. Sharing their daily life gives us a better understanding of the living history of the Earth and its inhabitants. Nestled between the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, the island of Montserrat is home to one of the numerous active volcanoes along the curve of the Lesser Antilles, the Soufriere Hills volcano. In 1995, the Soufriere Hills volcano of Montserrat began to erupt after more than 300 years of laying dormant. It ejected a fearful pyroclastic cloud with an avalanche of gas, rocks, and burning ashes at temperatures of up to 500 degrees, which descended the slopes of the volcano at incredible speed. The city of Plymouth was not damaged, but the population was evacuated as a precaution. A few months later, calm appeared to have returned to the summit of the volcano, and the inhabitants were authorized to return to their everyday lives. In 1997, a fresh explosion hit the capital with all its strength. This time, 19 people were killed and the entire city was covered in ash. Plymouth was destroyed and abandoned. At the time, the trauma was such that 2/3 of the population, that is to say about 8,000 people, definitively left the island. Since that event, the Soufriere has engaged in intensive eruptive activity. The most recent eruption only dates back to 2010. Braides is today the major town of Montserrat. 25 years ago, this territory situated in the north of the island was virtually uninhabited. It was the eruption of the Soufriere which obliged the inhabitants of Plymouth, situated 10 kilometers to the south, to move here in search of safety. Hello.
Hi. Good afternoon.
You too. It's a strange feeling for me to be here, where people took up their lives again during the eruption which started in 1995. Apart from the extraordinary nature of this eruption, from a personal point of view, it coincided with my passion for volcanoes. When it began in 1995, I was a geology student and followed its development on a daily basis. Being here, where people reestablished themselves during the eruption, you're struck by a defining characteristic of the people who live alongside these volcanoes. They never give up and keep their feet on the ground. Keith Phillip had a front row seat during the Soufriere eruption. He was just 20 at the time, working hard and bursting with ideas. His dreams were swept aside in a matter of moments. Today, Keith has rebuilt his life, but events have left an indelible mark on him. It's painful for him to come back to the scene of the drama, but he has accepted to show me around the exclusion zone set up after the eruption. Entry into this no man's land is strictly regulated by the authorities. So nobody lives beyond this point?
No, nobody. Only animals.
Okay.
We walk through the setting of his past life.
This road was a very popular road.
Today, nature has reclaimed its rights.
Yeah, overgrown.
Uh-huh.
Can you see the buildings?
Can we have a look around?
Yeah.
You're now entering the center of town, Plymouth. The school was in the town, so all of these coming across here is business.
Yeah. Wow.
So this was homes. And so you were coming by your bedroom set, television.
The shop still has shoes in it.
Dans le magasin. Yeah, still the
It was
shoes.
still on the shelves. Everything was still there. Plenty of stuff leave back because we believe we could have come back. We lose everything.
OK. À côté, c'est le...
Next door is the baker's.
Yes, very good bread, big bread.
Yeah.
So you have ashes up to like 4 feet, 5 feet.
Oui, le niveau de
The
la
street
rue
level
avant
was much lower.
était beaucoup plus bas.
What we're seeing here is the upstairs.
OK.
Okay, there's another floor beneath this one.
Yeah, it was a high building, 2 stories.
Qu'est-ce que vous
What do you feel when you come back here?
Memories, plenty memories. You know, because these are the streets you walk on, these are the streets you play on, these are the streets you dance on. Because back, we have carnival. And so this is the way lead to the stage
okay.
where everybody meet and have calypso show. And so sometimes the band will leave from there, come across the street into the center of the town. So plenty excitement. This structure there was never entering. It just constructed. It was all the government office was to be there.
OK.
And nobody enter.
Within moments, the volcano swept away the daily lives and hopes of the people of Plymouth. The carnival drums gave way to deafening silence. Decked out in greenery, the town seems drowsy. But the buildings still carry the scars of the eruption, bearing witness to its terrible violence.
Wow,
It's
incroyable.
incredible to see how the bars of this railing were completely deformed by the pyroclastic cloud as it arrived
Formé par la nuée ardente
and
qui est
smashed
arrivée là
against the wall.
et qui est venu buter contre le mur. Oh, puis alors, le
You can see how this
remplissage
bathroom was filled up.
de bain. Les
The
matériaux
material
sont passés par
poured
la
through the
fenêtre,
window
on
until it
voit
was
directement-
full.
on voit que
The toilet seat was
le
burned.
couvercle
It's
de la
completely
cuvette
charred.
a brûlé. Il est tout
That shows the
carbonisé,
temperature
ça a
was
mis
at
plusieurs
several
centaines
hundred
de degrés.
degrees.
Vraiment affaire à...
It's like looking at a 1995 Pompeii. Before the catastrophe, the inhabitants were not aware that they were living at the foot of an active volcano. Having laid dormant for 3 centuries, the Soufrière was regarded as just a mountain. The island had no volcano observatory to watch over it. Things have changed a lot since then. Thomas Christopher was born on the island. After the Great Eruption, he decided to become a volcanologist and came to the Montserrat Observatory, which had just been created. Today, the observatory is frequented by numerous scientists who keep watch over the Soufrière day and night. Thomas Christopher carefully scrutinizes one of the key indicators responsible for the last major eruptive phase, the volcanic gas. So, Thomas, you're now setting up instruments to measure the gas.
Yeah, what we have is a UV spectrometer.
Et donc avec ça, ça va vous permettre
And that will provide you with information about the quantity of gas emitted by the volcano each day.
Le volcan chaque jour.
We measure sulfur dioxide flux, yeah. It gives you a sense of what the magma is doing based on how much sulfur dioxide you're seeing.
OK.
We're good to go.
OK. You want I drive or you drive?
You drive.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
operate you.
We're right at the foot of the volcano. We can see the plume just up above us. The idea is to take measurements while driving back and forth through the plume of gas.
Yeah. The plan is to start outside of the gas.
OK.
And go through the gas. And go to the other side of the gas plume.
OK.
And basically what we should be able to do is to compare the absorption of light when there's gas and when there's no gas.
And what's the current trend in measurements up on the volcano?
I'm guessing now it's probably down to around 300 tons per day. Sometimes it's a bit higher.
OK.
But it varies. On any given day, it could change over hours, much less days.
OK.
That's why we measure as much as possible.
Et quelle est la corrélation
And what correlation exists between gas measurements in the plume and future activity of the volcano?
Le futur de l'activité du volcan.
The gassing is more of a long-term prognosis and not so much what it's going to do tomorrow.
OK.
But it's whether or not the system is still active and if it's still tumbling over.
OK.
So yeah, we're in the plume now. You can see it's definitely
Yeah.
going up from the back line, the flat background level that it was.
OK.
So we're in gas.
C'est plus dangereux
The
d'avoir
volcano which stores gas is more dangerous than a volcano which emits gas.
Yeah. If the gas is not being released, then there's always a potential for more explosive behavior.
Yeah.
So what you want is your volcano to release as much gas as possible, but fairly slowly, not too fast. Because if you release the gas fast, then you generate an explosion. You'll fragment the rock.
Yeah.
Like all the explosive volcanoes of the Caribbean, the Soufriere produces very viscous magma, which accumulates in the crater rather than flowing down the flanks, causing a blockage known as a lava dome. This dome, which is constantly growing, stops the gas emitted by the fresh magma from escaping. When the dome becomes too large, it becomes unstable and collapses onto the flanks of the volcano. When this happens, a pyroclastic cloud composed of pressurized gas, ash, and volcanic rock is released. Consequently, if the volcano emits no gas, that means that the dome is blocking it, and there is the danger of an explosion. After the events of 1995 and 1997, eruptions have continued to bury Plymouth, creating this desolate landscape of ash and rock. The town is beneath these blocks which came straight down from the lava dome. Here, we're virtually 6 kilometers from the volcano. And these blocks arrived here in a matter of a few seconds. These phenomena are incredibly powerful. This shows you the strength of an explosive volcano. A little higher up in Plymouth, a few meters away from the shops buried under ash, Keith recalls the day when he first realized that the land on which he lived was in movement. What happened in July 1995? How did the eruption unfold?
I was not working at that time, and so I was there chilling out, and then you hear this big noise like an aeroplane, and then a massive explosion. So I look back to see the explosion, and I see fire coming on this side of the mountain. So the explosion starts, boom, 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 and we just see fireworks, fire, whole night. Expensive fireworks without money. Yeah, it was very, very, very scary, and at the same time, it was a beauty to see.
Were you definitively evacuated after this first eruption, or were you able to return to your village?
We go back in our village, and there were explosions. Now it was ash, plenty ash. day turn into night. Yeah, and you boom, it's the lightning, and so it creates its own storm, lightning and so forth, and then in like couple seconds, street lights come on, and then you have to stay where you are for about 10 minutes. Total darkness. Cars have to stop, yeah, and we have to wait until it go, and then the sunlight come back. Yeah, it was very powerful. And then eventually it quiet for a while. And then a massive explosion. Then they remove everybody in that evacuation, and then you will meet long lines of people having a bag or briefcase, walking to catch the bus to bring them over in the north side. We never go back in our home.
During the 15 years following the second explosion, the Soufriere continued to spit out ash. This pearl of the Caribbean became a stricken island, abandoned by tourists who represented the major part of its economy. Some of Montserrat's inhabitants managed to turn this catastrophe into an opportunity. They developed a sand industry, exporting to neighboring islands. Today, this resource provided by the volcano represents the island's main source of income. I'm at the bottom of the Belém River Valley. Before me are more than 15 meters of accumulated material, not amassed during the eruption, but immediately afterwards, because the climate here is tropical with extremely heavy rainfall. This rainfall carried down material from the top of the volcano. Phenomenal quantities of it ended up here in the valley. Today, it represents a godsend for the locals, who have turned the area into a sand quarry, exporting all around the archipelago. Gervain Greenaway is one of those who has unlocked the inestimable wealth of this material coming from the Soufriere. In order to extract it, he spends his working life at the foot of the volcano. Hi.
Fine.
Do you like living dangerously?
No, this is not dangerous. This is like everyday living.
Do you know what the volcano is capable of?
Yes, I chose to stay here and help rebuild the island, and it was a real good choice. The volcano poses basically no threat. It's just like having a little bad dog in your backyard. No worries.
And the volcano actually gives you material which you can make use of.
Yes, the volcano deposited the sand, and we excavate it, and then we process it. Let me show you, for example, right? Aggregate.
Okay.
See the sand?
Yeah.
We sift it. So we get two different grades, like 4mm, 5mm grade, and we use it locally for construction.
Okay.
We also export it to the other islands.
And economically speaking, is this sand quarry important for the island?
This is very important for the economy of the island, because at the moment, this is the biggest export industry. So we employ quite a few locals. This sand mine is very important to the country and the current economy. And we know we're building a rebuilding stage.
Can you describe your relationship with the volcano?
They're very good. The volcano, basically, it put some of us in a very good position while it put others in a bad position. For some, it was real bad because they lost their homes, they lost their businesses. But like me, it gave me an opportunity to start a business.
Today, sand quarries are springing up all around the volcano. The island's entrepreneurs have staked everything on this new gold mine, which the Soufriere has provided, to lift Montserrat out of the economic stagnation into which the eruption plunged it. Between 1995 and 2010, the Soufriere went through various surges of activity, regularly provoking explosions and pyroclastic clouds. The last explosive phase came between December 2009 and February 2010. The volcano has remained silent ever since, but volcanologists are ever vigilant. Thomas, where exactly are we?
We're on the southern edge of Plymouth, next to one of the flows that came down in 2010.
The last explosive phase of the Soufrière eruption. Is this pumice stone?
Basically, pumice is like the gas-rich component of a magma.
Yeah.
So it's the frothy bit. And basically, when you see pumice, you know there is an explosion. So what happened, there was an explosion which ejected the frothy part of the magma into the air. And then it collapsed on the volcano and generated a pyroclastic flow down in this direction. The last phase was maybe 4 months, but it was very explosive.
Explosive.
Yeah. There was no precursor for that. It just happened. Yeah, it was out of the blue explosion.
Yeah.
So none of us saw that coming.
Nothing.
No, nothing.
And nothing since?
No, nothing. I think this one was probably around 70, 80 miles per hour. It's fast, yeah. We think if this were to happen again, it would get here in about 90 seconds.
And so we won't stay here long then?
Yeah, it's difficult to get away from these flows because they're quite fast moving.
How do you see the future? What scenarios do volcanologists like yourself, who monitor the volcano on a daily basis, envisage?
I think that's a problem because the behavior has definitely changed. So we know the system is still alive. What we don't know is when it's going to restart and how it would restart.
Following the evacuation of Plymouth in 1997, 2/3 of the population left the island. The South is deserted. Today, a few rare inhabitants wish to take back possession of their land, abandoned to the volcano. Braving the danger, they approach the Soufrière Hills, coming to within a few hundred meters of the exclusion zone. Abe Fergus is 85. Having taken exile in the United States for a time, today he has returned to the island of his birth to finish building his house. He hopes to end his life close to the volcano.
Hello.
Has this always remained a very particular place for you?
It's what you call a sentimental value. Nothing will prevent me as long as I'm standing on my 2 feet. I'm going to go and do what I have to do. Except the little pain and ache in the shoulders.
Yeah.
I feel like a 20-year-old.
Okay.
If you have a strong mind, no matter what, age is only a number.
This place must hold a lot of memories for you.
Well, this is the reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
The good memories here, I decided that I just can't let it go down, just can't let it fall. I do that as a pastime, as to have something to do. If I sit down, I'm going to shrivel like a prune and just go. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
You're basically one force of nature which has resisted another force of nature.
I'm part of it. And since I'm part of it, I've got to live with it. I'm not as strong as him, but I'm begging him to let me, to give me a small part, no matter what it is.
Okay.
This is the kitchen area.
Okay.
Over here, we'll put a little dining table.
And here you look out onto the garden.
Yes. They have like the banana trees, the dashin, and the coconut trees, and the whatever, you know. I hope and pray this will stir the imagination of others to say, if he can do it, I can do it.
It's a perfect place to live.
Yeah, yes. It is.
Nobody, not even volcanologists, can predict the Soufrière's next eruption. But one thing is clear. Since its reawakening in 1995, the destinies of the volcano and the inhabitants have become intimately linked. Today, time and fresh perspectives for the future have transformed the fear which haunted the people of Montserrat into profound respect for their volcano.